friends are calling you out to play. Come on, we'll make you feel right at home. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Let's see what lies in store for you. There's so many things to see and do. Summer, winter, spring or fall, you're home in the Rockies as it all. So gear up, get ready to plan your day. The ideas are brewing, you're on your way. The fun is waiting outside your door. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Recently, I was so blessed to come to this beautiful home of Kate McKay and participate in a house concert by a concert pianist by the name of Grisha Krivchenia. And I was so overwhelmed by the generousness of Kate and the beauty of Grisha and his artistry that we had to bring it to Good Day Vail. So today's episode is all about house concerts and the magnificent opportunity for you to bring this type of beauty and share it in a small, intimate social setting. As you can see, I got dressed up in my best velvet with a little bling. And please stay tuned for this episode of Good Day Vail about house concerts. Stay tuned.
Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail. Good day, Vail.
Hi, and welcome to Good Day Vail. I am Cece Zach, and I am so excited for this episode of Good Day Vail. We are bringing a home concert from Kate McKay's house to your house with Grisha Krivchenia. I'm so sorry, please tell me your name again.
Grisha Krivchenia.
Krivchenia. Thank you so much for being patient with me. We know that my enunciations aren't great. And we're bringing a home concert to all of you at Good Day Vail. So before we jump into the nuts and bolts of it, can the two of you just help us understand your tie to the Vail community, why you've been here, and why you stay here? So Kate, you have a very long history here.
Well, I came here skiing as a child with my family, and after I graduated from college, a friend called me, a childhood friend called me and said, I hear you want to travel. I'm in Vail. I need a roommate and I've got a job for you. So I said, give me 2 weeks. And when I arrived, the grass was green, the aspens were gold, the sky was blue. So it was like,
paradise.
That was 43 years ago.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. And so what have you done in the Valley for 43 years? I'm sure you've done quite a bit.
Well, my first job was at Pepe's Restaurant.
Oh.
My second job was with a company that's defunct now, Vail Guides, which was kind of like Nova Guides and CME. One day I drove to Stapleton and back 4 times, which is illegal now. But my real job, I was a CPA. I had my own tax practice for about 30 years.
And I believe when we were preparing for this episode, you said that you also are working for the town of Vail.
Oh, yes, because I'm retired. So now I work as a town of Vail host. I was out there this morning. It was 6 degrees.
Oh.
But it was the sun was out, so that was good.
Well, we're so grateful again to be in your home. So thank you. Now, Grisha, your story is a little different because your family is from this area as well. Not full-time, but they have a second home here, right?
Yeah, that's right. When I was in high school, my parents bought a second home in Homestead.
And as I recall, the two of you, or the two homes were near each other, and that's how you got to know each other?
That's right. We were neighbors across the street. And,
Okay.
and she became friends with the whole family when
Yeah.
I was a teenager.
Oh. Well, and there's another thing besides just sharing a lovely place, maybe like Camelot here in Vail, is that the two of you share the love of music. So Kate, how did you get involved with the love of the piano?
Well, at first it wasn't a love. My father made me take piano lessons. And he even, when I started riding horses, he made me take them at 7 o'clock in the morning, which was difficult for a middle schooler. And then in high school, I played the pipe organ. And when I went to college, I thought I'd be a music major, but I realized I had absolutely no talent. So it had all been hard work. So I switched to economics and became a CPA. But my parents took us to the symphony and truly instilled a love of music.
And where was that symphony?
In Charlotte.
In Charlotte, okay. So, truth be told, I grew up riding horses, and I don't think that you know this. And I too had hoped to become an Olympic equestrian someday, but I realized I didn't have the talent either. And right at the same time during college, I was like, that's enough. I need to find something else. But enough about me. Let's talk about you, Grisha. Your story is a little bit different as well, because as I recall, I think you were about this tall when you realized that you liked the piano.
Yeah, I mean, even earlier, I was probably in the womb when I realized I liked the piano. My mom was an opera singer and a college music professor, so yeah, I got a really early start on all things musical. And there was always a piano in the house. I was always playing it. It was around the age of 11 that I got really serious, that I thought that, oh, this is something that I could do for a living. Wouldn't that be exciting?
And so tell us a little bit about how you got from there to where you are today, which we'll get into in a minute, where you are today. But
Sure.
What was that progression of education and practice? And
Yeah, I was fortunate to study with some really great teachers growing up in Ohio, where I'm from. And then I spent my senior year of high school at North Carolina School of the Arts, and then went to Oberlin Conservatory. So studied at a pretty serious music school in Ohio. And from there, I just started playing concerts. Even as a teenager, I started concertizing, especially in the summers. I would go to summer music festivals and play there. But yeah, started concertizing as a teenager, and I've been doing it ever since.
you use the term concertizing.
Yeah,
Can you help our viewers understand what that means?
it just means giving concerts. So yeah, and those concerts happen in all kinds of venues. They could be in theaters or in art museums, churches. And when I'm really lucky, I get to play in someone's house. Yeah,
Which we'll
I feel
get
very
into.
fortunate. Yeah.
But concertizing with a piano is not very easy. So how did that happen? Where did these concerts occur?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was mostly music festivals that I would play at. A lot of music festivals make a space for young artists, and so they'll give you an opportunity to come and play. And you can, some of them have an educational component. So sometimes you come to study with a teacher. Other times you're just coming to perform, but you're performing alongside seasoned professionals. But they have concerts for the younger musicians as well. So you gently get ushered into the world of concert music.
And tell our viewers about when you were studying, what your majors were when you were studying, because I think it's important to your story.
Yeah, at Oberlin, I double majored in piano performance and in composition. So I'm a composer as well as a pianist. And
Okay.
Yeah, composition has always been a really important part of my musical practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Kate, the home concert concept, how did you come up with it? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's actually a fun story. His parents were still across the street from us, and I was so excited when my parents downsized and I finally got the piano. And it even had to live in storage for 6 months while I got all the windows tinted so that it wouldn't be damaged. So anyway, the piano arrived, and I knew his mother was a musician, and so I went across the street and I said, "You've got to come play this piano. It's beautiful." And she loved it, and so she told Grisha about it. And so Grisha called me up and said, "Can I do a home concert?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely."
Do you remember how old you were then?
Did we decide it's been 10 years?
Yeah. So it was about 10 years ago that we did that. So I was early 30s. I had just moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the piano, which is beautiful, and we'll get a shot of the piano shortly when we ask Grisha to play for us. But can you just give us a real brief history of this piano?
My grandmother, Kate, bought it in the 30s sometime. It's 1894 Steinway out of New York. So it was built in 1894. And when my grandmother passed away, my father inherited the piano, and they paid to have it totally restored. And then in 2004, my parents' bathroom sprung a leak and fell on the piano, and insurance paid to have it fully restored again. So that's part of what Grisha likes about it.
And we'll get into that in a second. But I'm going to just ask you to pause with those thoughts because we need to take a quick break. And I just want to thank the both of you. Stay tuned because we're going to have Grisha play for us before our next segment. Welcome back to Good Day Vail. I'm with Kate and Grisha, and we are talking about the house concert episode. Now, the piano. We ended on the piano. If this piano could talk, Kate, what would it say? It's over 130 years old. Quick math, a little under 130 years. What would it say?
Well, I'm sure it's seen a lot of different things, but once I remember my mother was sick with cancer, and she had a friend that played in the Charlotte Symphony who got together a group of other musicians, and they came and did a little concert just for my mother on this piano. It was really sweet.
That is wonderful. It's music, you said this earlier too, is an international language. So it kind of solves a lot of things and cures a lot of feelings and emotions. So Grisha, tell us a little bit about the history of pianos. They are spectacular, and I know nothing about them. So
Yeah. So the first piano was built by a harpsichord builder, because one of the predecessors of the piano was the harpsichord, named Cristofori. He's an Italian, and he built his thing that it was nicknamed the pianoforte because it could play both soft and loud. Built in 1721, and people have been tinkering with it ever since. And in fact, there's still people making innovations in pianos and piano sound to try to improve them. But the piano basically steadily got larger and sturdier and louder. That was most of the innovation. And the key span got larger too. You could play more notes.
So it got sturdier so that on stage a woman could lay over the piano and sing in whatever venue it was. I'm just kidding, but I
think their main concern was that strings wouldn't get broken when someone would play with a lot of force. Yeah.
Now, these house concerts, you had mentioned you're part of a group that also kind of tours for house concerts, so to speak. Tell us a little bit about that community.
Yeah, I'm an artist with an organization called Group Muse. You can find it at groupmuse.org.
And that's M-U-S-E, Group M-U-S-E.
That's
it's a
right.
fabulous website. I took a look at it.
Yeah, so Group Muse started about 10 years ago, finding professional musicians, creating a community of professional musicians who might be interested in playing more intimate venues. And then also finding a collection of people who had nice instruments in their home or who loved hosting music, and creating these sort of parties. And it's a much more relaxed, informal atmosphere than the typical concert hall. And musicians really love playing in them because we can really connect with the audience. And the audience members really love it because they're like this far away from the musicians. They can hear them sweating and breathing and all the things that we have to do in the production of music. So it's a very connected and intimate experience. And Group Muse has sort of created an online platform where people with houses can say, hey, I'd like to be a host, and people like me can say, hey, I would love to perform at these. There's a little bit, you have to go through, basically audition for it. So I'm a Group Muse artist. I send them videos of my playing, and but once you're accepted, then you can play in any Group Muse. Kate hasn't done Group Muse. We just have our own informal arrangement, but if someone's interested in hosting house concerts, someone's serious about it, I would suggest that they at least take a look at that platform.
Well, and I noticed that I went on that there's a wide variety of cities, and I know Denver is one of them, and your current home city, San Diego, is another. And obviously, I also noticed Paris was on there too, Paris, France, and New York City. What are the ranges of instruments that the musicians may participate in this community?
So Group Muse started out as a classical music phenomenon, but they've really opened it up to anyone from any historical music, anyone who has a lifelong commitment to making historical music. So that could be some kind of jazz. It could be a folk instrument. It could be like something like the, like an Armenian instrument. It could be an oud. It could be all kinds of different historical music traditions that they're presenting. So the musicians would just bring whatever they're playing. Sometimes they're soloists, sometimes they're trios, quartets, even quintets. Yeah.
So, and you mentioned that you need to audition with the person that would be looking to host this.
That happens as well, yeah. So
okay.
As well as auditioning for the platform, you have to, it's not so much an audition, but I connect with people. I find people, for example, when I played in Denver recently, I played at a Group Muse there. I looked at the list of people in Denver. I could search by the ones that had pianos in their homes. I went for the ones with a little higher capacity and wanted to play for a larger group of people. And then, so I asked a number of those people, hey, here's what I do. This is the program I'd like to play. Here's examples of my playing. And then they can choose. They can select, that's the artist we'd like to have in our home.
Well, as I can tell by us listening to you play, when we rounded out the first segment, I mean, you are just spectacular at your trade, unbelievable. And you brought tears to my eyes the first time I met you, which was actually at a house concert that Kate had just recently. So thank you again for allowing me in your home, but tell me what it's like being the host. You know, what is it that you get out of these house concerts?
Oh, well, the day after that concert, I probably got 4 or 5 texts from people thanking me, and to everyone I would reply and say thank you for being part of it, because it's a gift that I can give people that Grisha can give people, and we all just have such a good time, and Grisha just shines. So it's fun to give to people the music.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I think you've been so gracious to lend us your home for this taping. You're probably going to find people say, "Hey, can I rent your home for their own, house concert at a later date?" But with that, Grisha, what's the type of music you like to play? And I bring this up because you played something that you had made as the first piece at the house concert, and it brought tears to my eyes. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your composing and then your playing other artists' work as all. How do you choose which one you want?
Right. So for my own compositions, I compose in a neoclassical style. So I'm just very much in the Western classical tradition of music that came from Europe. And then that's what I was trained to play. So I play a lot of that music, but I also like to play a lot of the work of living composers. So at the concert on Sunday, I was playing some work by Carla Bley, who's a jazz pianist. I played a piece by Arturo Marquez, who's a Mexican, still living composer. And I do like to emphasize living composers. But the general theme is I pick music that I love, and then I pick a selection of pieces that fits well together. Ones that flow nicely from one to the next, and there's a certain amount of contrast so that nobody gets bored. That's how it's done.
And the music that you've composed is just extraordinary as well. So in the first segment, I believe the name of that piece is
Winter
Solstice, and that's your own. Can you just tell the audience the background behind that briefly?
Sure. I wrote that piece when I was living on San Juan Island, Washington. And in the winter there, it's very dark and very quiet. And what you hear are these little drips of rain on your cabin roof. And it's kind of... It's a mood, it's a feeling that this piece reminded me of. So I didn't think of the title first and then write the piece. The title came after I wrote the piece. I was like, oh, that's so much like the dripping that I was hearing all winter long.
And this last piece that we're going to close on is named...
It's a nocturne.
Okay.
By Frédéric Chopin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, with that, we're going to just jump right in and have you play for us again as we close out this section.
Yeah.
So
I think we have time for just the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. So stick with us with Good Day Vail and Grisha and Kate.
That part.
On your way, the fun is waiting outside your door.